Can you really actually buy a property for $26,000 that produces over $10,000 in a single month? I'm gonna share an actual example of this type of property today. As a matter of fact, I'm standing in it right now, and I'm also gonna share with you how you can do a similar type of investment and get similar results. So let's go. Hey, I'm Kirby Atwell from Living Off Rentals, and if you want to do a deal similar to the one that I'm about to share with you today, you can go over to livingoffrentals.com/start, and I've got a free masterclass right there that walks you through my process of doing vacation rentals and how you can get a vacation rental in the next 30 days. There's also a link there to my calendar if you're interested in working with me personally on the process. I've got a program that walks you through the steps of finding, buying, and setting up your first really high cash flowing vacation rental. So if you're interested in that, you can book a call with me. We can talk about your goals and see if the program's a good fit for you. So where does your mind go when I say the term vacation rental? Most people think of a beachfront house or a ski in, ski out type of cabin, or even a house next to Disney World, and all of these investments have their place. I'm not the type of person who ever is gonna say, you've gotta invest in this type of property or you'll never make any money. There's those people out there, but I think one of the greatest things about real estate investing is that it works on so many different levels, on so many different types of properties. It aligns with so many different personalities, and there's so many different ways to make money. However, I personally am a huge fan of, and the only thing I really invest in is affordable vacation rentals similar to the one that I'm sitting in. And there's a handful of reasons that I'm gonna share in this video for that. And I'm also gonna share how easily you could get into a high cash flowing short-term rental strategy as well. Just a few years ago in 2020, I bought this property, like I mentioned, for $26,000. You can see a copy of the closing statement there with the purchase price. And the property at the time looked pretty much nothing like it does right now. I really wish I would have taken some before pictures at the time, but honestly, I kind of felt bad taking pictures as I was doing my initial walkthrough, because it was, there was so much deferred maintenance, and there's people living here. There's a lot of people living here actually, and it was in really, really rough shape. This is a 2-unit property. I'm actually sitting in the upper unit right now. And shortly after buying it, we gutted the entire property, both units. We replaced all the mechanicals, new fixtures throughout, new cabinets, countertops, appliances, flooring, painted the whole property, and now it's a gorgeous property. So we ended up buying it for $26,000. We put somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 into the property to make it really nice for vacation rentals. So now we've got this beautiful property with 2 separate vacation rentals in it. And I'm a huge fan of 2 to 4 unit vacation rental properties, because actually out of a 2-unit property, we get 3 listings. So what we do is we list the top unit as 1 listing, the bottom unit as 1 listing, and then the whole building as another listing. So this gives you so much versatility in different seasons. What we find is that in the winter, in the slower season, these individual unit listings rent really well. And a lot of times it's couples that come in the off season. So we've got a casino, we've got an outlet mall, there's wineries around here. And then in our heavy summer season, the high season, where pretty much every single night is booked out, a lot of times it's the whole building that's booked up, because a lot of times it's a couple different families traveling together, or aging parents and their adult kids and their grandkids who travel together, and they want separate spaces to sleep in, but they all want to stay in the same building. So we'll list it as a 3rd listing at a premium to rent the entire building, and that books up really well in the summer. Personally, I'm a really risk-averse type of investor. So I sleep really well at night, knowing that I own properties like this that I can easily convert into long-term rentals. This was being used as a long-term rental prior to converting it into a short-term rental. So if Airbnb ever goes away, or there's another, COVID number 21.0 that shuts down the entire economy and nobody's traveling again, I can easily convert this extremely affordable property into a long-term rental, or into 2 long-term rentals, and it will still cash flow really well. Not nearly as well as a short-term rental, but I'm not going to be upside down or having negative cash flow. The other big advantage of buying an affordable vacation rental like this is that all of your costs tend to be much lower. So when we're furnishing and putting in the fixtures for a property like this, we don't put in, sub-zero appliances. We're putting in very nice stainless steel appliances, but a lot of times those are like a fifth of the cost of Sub-Zero or Wolf or Thermador that you would anticipate seeing if you're in a higher end like beachfront type property. The other place that you're going to notice very manageable expenses is in your monthly payments. We bought this property for an extremely low purchase price and then we put money into it and then we refinanced it. But overall, we still had very little capital invested into this property. So our monthly mortgage payment is going to be pretty low. And then the taxes on a property like this tend to be very, very affordable as well because the assessed value is pretty low. So I was reminded of this again yesterday when I got my monthly mortgage payment. You can see that the entire payment on this property for both units is $611. And that includes principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. That's all of it for $611. And then on the income side, we've got multiple streams of income coming off this property because it's a 2-unit. Again, that's why I'm a huge fan of 2 to 4 unit vacation rentals. So let's take a look at what that looks like on Airbnb. So as I mentioned, one of the big benefits of a duplex is that you actually get 3 listings out of one property. So 3 sources of income out of one individual property with one set of expenses. And so what I want to share with you is how this property performs in our best month, which is July. And then I'm also going to share with you how it performs across the entire year so that you're not like, well, yeah, great, it performed really well in 1 month, but then it sits vacant the rest of the 11 months. Obviously, you don't want that. So this property is super versatile with the 3 different units. And so it actually does really well across the entire year as well, but it's kind of mind-boggling what it does in July. So July, our busiest time period, nowhere near enough available units for the people that want to travel to the Michigan City area. So you can see this is what the duplex calendar looks like for the month of July. So this is the renting the entire duplex as a whole. And so you see we got one booking for $3,200 for the long weekend of 4th of July weekend. And then for just over the next week, we've got another booking for just under $3,000. And so since all 3 of these calendars, all 3 of these listings are tied together, when we get a booking like this, it automatically blocks it off on the individual unit listings. So this is the upper unit. And you can see these dates are blocked off now because the duplex was booked as a whole. We have another booking for the upper unit at $1,700 for a week, the 16th to the 23rd. So then if we go to the lower unit, you can see the second half of the month is still available. So at this point, we're in April right now. And at this point for the month of July, a few months out, we've already booked $7,897. So about $7,900 is already booked for the month of July, but we still have about half the month available between the two units. So we've got $6,480, right around $6,480 available to still be booked. And if it's anything like the last 2 summers, every single night on both units is going to be booked between these 3 listings because, again, there's just way more supply than demand. So that means if we book up the entire thing, the entire calendar for both units, we're going to have about $14,000 in bookings just for the month of July. The other thing I wanted to show you is how this property performed across all 3 listings across the entire year last year. Because it's one thing to have a great July, where you make a ton of money, but then if it sat vacant for the other 11 months, it's not as compelling as if you're still getting bookings the other 11 months too. So here's all 3 listings, how they performed over the entire year of 2021. So you can see right here, this is the duplex listing right here from January 21 to December 21, and it made a total, or it paid out a total after the Airbnb fees of $18,479. Then this is the upper unit, and this paid out $19,553, and then the lower unit listing paid out $18,988. This is just on Airbnb. We also rent this property all 3 listings are on VRBO as well. So we do much more business on Airbnb. So we made a few $1,000s on VRBO last year. So in the year of 2021, we made right around $60,000 in revenue on this property that we bought for $26,000 and have just over $100,000 into. And that's on a property that each unit would rent on a long-term basis for less than $1,000 a month. So we'd be making gross probably around $1,800 a month on this property that grossed $60,000 last year as a short-term rental. And now this year in 2022, we're on track to actually do about 40% to 50% better than we did last year. So it's incredible, the growth here. It's kind of mind-boggling, the type of cash flow that's possible on an extremely affordable 2-unit property. And this is why I'm such a huge advocate for these 2 to 4 unit properties. Just a few final notes when it comes to buying affordable properties like this. I think it's super important to understand the neighborhood and also to be a good neighbor. As a host, we pride ourselves on maintaining our properties above the standard of the neighborhood. No matter what our neighbors are doing, we keep the standard of our property extremely high. We also screen our guests really well to make sure we're only allowing people with positive previous reviews and people that have been verified by Airbnb to come stay in our property so that we can keep the property really nice and keep our neighbors happy. I also think it's super important to understand who your ideal guest is going to be for the specific type of property that you're buying. I don't want to paint the illusion that you just buy anything and it's just get rich quick overnight and it's not going to be any work. There's a lot of effort that goes into it up front, and part of that is understanding who your ideal guest is. The guest who's going to stay here is very different probably than the guest who's going to rent the multi-million-dollar beachfront vacation rental. And we want to cater to that specific guest and understand what their needs are, and then also set expectations accordingly. So in our listing description, we don't say that this is a multi-million beachfront property. We say it's a very nice remodeled property, but it's also in an eclectic working class neighborhood where there's properties around that need work. And if you're not comfortable with that type of neighborhood, then don't book this property. We still get booked up really well because there's such a demand for all different types of vacation rentals, and we can fill that affordable vacation rental or short-term rental niche. When I started buying properties right in this area, you would not believe how many people told me, from the agent selling me the property to pretty much anyone that I talked to about buying vacation rentals here, that would never work in this area, that you've got to be on the beach. And I kind of bucked the trend and bought here anyway. And now there's some other properties that are kind of following along. And I don't claim to have all the answers. I just try to test assumptions and ask a lot of questions. And so while everyone else is kind of fighting over online how to buy the next cabin for $700,000 in Gatlinburg as opposed to $600,000 like they were last year, I'm continuing to buy these very affordable properties, and I'm going to continue to make videos like this so you can see what's possible and doable as well. If you got something out of this video, then hit that like button. Also, if you want to learn how to finance affordable properties like this one, then hit the subscribe and the notification bell next to it so you can be notified when next week's video comes out, because I'm going to be talking about 3 sort of outside the box strategies for financing affordable properties like this that require almost no money out of your pocket. So definitely tune in for that video, and I will see you next week.